We have some guiding principles that if you don't have copies of them, we can provide you copies. 11 principles that Council approved when they authorized us to do this work and directed us to do the enhanced process. And these principles have not only guided, I think, the developer's initial considerations, but they will be very influential in the public process and in our stakeholder commentary. How well have the various options addressed the principles? Should the principles be expanded, enhanced, so they're not written in stone? They could certainly be modified or enhanced. But it provides a starting point for the public to comment about what maybe works and doesn't work from the various options. So with that, Wendy, I'll stop and see if there's more information I can provide as we get into the Q&A.
Questions?
Can we sort of go over the basic what's there and what's sort of proposed? We have, is it 16 suites in the mansion or 19?
There's 11 suites currently in the mansion.
11 suites in the mansion. And those are not rental, those are owned?
Those are all rental.
Oh, they're all rental.
Currently, yes.
And 162 units?
No, there's a grand total of 162 rental in the project today.
How many rental would you like to get to?
Our current application has over 200 total new rental units.
And 891 in total?
That's correct, yeah.
Is this the first time, Brent, you've held a meeting like this with the media where you've invited them in to discuss a rezoning plan?
Well, I think, Charlie, it's not discuss rezoning. We do background briefings for the media all the time. This is really a background briefing for reporters who have covered this particular project or expressed an interest in it. So it's a common process. It is unusual, I have to say, and this is breaking new ground for us, to be with the developer at the same time in terms of doing this for a planning process. But as I said at the beginning, this is a very interesting project and one that has really engaged the neighborhood and the community. So we felt in order to get you the information that you need and to have a good understanding of the proposal and the city process, we'd bring you together and just have this discussion. I welcome any additional comments.
The only thing I'd add is that because of the scale and nature of this rezoning, it has many it shares many attributes with what we usually call a major project, and some of you around the table know that we have a process with regard to major projects like East Fraser Lands, for example. So we've used this kind of technique in those other contexts before, and I think one of the things we recognized is that because this is a complex rezoning, it might benefit from that same kind of technique that we tend to use in other contexts.
I've been invited to various briefings over the years at City Hall. Never before have I seen the planning department and the developer sitting together explaining a project within City Hall. And I'm wondering what you would say to residents who might have concerns that the city's communication resources are being allocated to benefit the developer.
This is not benefiting the developer. This is benefiting the public in terms of explaining the process, the public engagement, how they can become involved, how we have engaged them. Yes, it is a little unusual to be sitting side by side, but there are two perspectives here. There is the developer who has a proposal, and he'd like to be sure that people understand what that is. The city has a very separate process that they come together at some point. We want to use your resources to explain to the public what that process is and how these things work.
The role is very different between a city and a city staff and a developer. Where we have a common interest at this point is in making sure that the public has a very good understanding of the process, because we can certainly see the downside of having confusion or misinformation out there about what the process will be. And we want to make sure that the public has a maximum opportunity to understand the process, be educated through the process, and thus they can give us educated advice and perspective to allow us to do our jobs better. At this point, though, just let me finish. But at this point, though, it's important to distinguish that the staff are not here to explain the project. I think that is Mr. Wall's role. It's our role at this point to explain the process and make sure that that's very well understood.
Are we talking 2 towers, a 13 and a 14-story tower, in the preferred option?
Our application has 2 towers, a 14-story mid-rise at the corner of 57th and Granville, and a 13-story mid-rise in the middle of the site just west of the existing mansion. And then the balance of the redevelopment proposal consists of buildings ranging in height from 4 stories to 8 and 9 stories.